Are you familiar with FBI Special Agents Kyle Seraphin?
I'm familiar with the name.
Is that yes?
I'm familiar with the name. Familiar with the name. Familiar with the name.
Let's bring in Kyle Seraphin. He's the FBI whistleblower who helped expose government censorship of our First Amendment rights.
Now, we only have this memo because a recently suspended FBI agent called Kyle Seraphin brought it to the public, and we're grateful that he did. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
He's the host of something that strangely is called the Kyle Seraphin Show.
Kyle Seraphin, I can't thank you enough for speaking out. I knew you guys were out there, and I knew it was just a matter of time, but you got a lot of guts putting your face and your name to this. You're doing a service on behalf of the American people, and from the bottom of my cracked and broken heart sometimes, thank you very much.
Take a look behind the curtain with a real whistleblower and American patriot. Prepare to embrace the uncomfortable truth because this program has no time for comforting lies. Here is civil liberties enthusiast, Second Amendment defender, and recovering FBI agent Kyle Seraphin.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Kyle Seraphin Show. Today's Friday. It's June the 7th. It's the first day that I haven't felt like death warmed over in about 10 or 12 days. This goes back at least maybe Thursday of last week, but probably before that. I think I was starting to feel terrible. Finished the antibiotics, starting to live the real life. Thanks to our friends over at Contingency Medical, I actually had amoxicillin to dive into. And I'm finally getting past this throat thing. That didn't stop me from starting with a cup of tea today. I'm not even drinking coffee yet, so I'm still off my normal routine. I'm looking forward to talking today with my friend Steve Friend. We're going to be talking about weaponized government. You guys go, well, don't you guys always talk about that? Yeah, well, we kind of do. Yeah, we kind of always do talk about weaponized government, but there's more evidence. So let's do evidence. That's what we do on this program. We talk about the uncomfortable truth, the things that other people think, well, no. We're going to talk about things that are evidence, and you get to make your own decision. I'm not going to tell you what to think. That's what midwit, middling intellect, mean girl, no moral compass clowns who've lived very comfortably and never given up anything for this country do. I don't tell you what to think. I'm just going to share with you some information. And then I'll tell you what I think about it. And then you'll think about whatever you think. And you'll put it in the comments below, or you'll put it in the chat like we are over there on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin, where you should like this video at some point. If we piss you off, you should like it. If we inform you, you should like it. If we make you laugh, which is probably going to happen at some point too, you should also like it. It doesn't matter whether you're watching us on YouTube, Rumble, X. We appreciate all of the audiences and all of you there. But the live chat happens right here on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Thanks for all of you guys for being here. Yeah, people can tell that I'm feeling a little bit better. That's good. We're going to get started with a thanks to my friends at the Patriot Cooler Company. That's not really what they go by. It's patriotcoolers.com, patriotcoolers.com, all spelled out. There's an S on the end. Promo code Kyle is KYLE. KYLE. For those of you listening in fast speed, you'll get 10% off. They'll get you a good deal. We did really well last month, guys. You guys all ordered up a bunch of these things, and you're starting to see the returns. It's a pretty quick deal. It's like a week turnaround time for a customized cooler that you can put words of your liking. You can use our logos if you want to go to customize and click stock images. Click on the suspendables. That's how you go do it. And yeah, you can get your own Patriot Cooler tumbler. And if you're in the market for a high-quality, long-term, useful outdoor tool like a really good rotomolded cooler, then check them out for that too. The bigger items, they're all shipping free. Anything over $50 will ship free. Promo code KYLE at checkout saves you that 10%. Patriot Coolers. Yeah, they've been supporting us since the beginning, and they mean it. They actually really have been. I got this guy sitting on the hold line here. I guess we'll just bring him in. Good morning, Steve Friend.
Good morning. I'm glad to see you are on the mend, my friend. No longer suffering from the bird flu. Isn't that the election variant that's been percolating around the country?
H5N2 is the one that got the person in Mexico City. You know what's cool about H5N2 killing somebody in Mexico City? Not that that's really cool for anybody.
That's the best way to start a sentence, though. What's the cool thing about the highly communicable disease that's going to end all of humanity during the next pandemic in 2024, just in time for a mail-in election?
That person also had like chronic kidney failure and a bunch of other diseases, like comorbidities.
Comorbidities, did they not get a lot of sunlight, maybe?
Probably not a healthy person.
Not eating, the requisite number of vitamins.
Do you eat vitamins in addition to almonds? Is that what you're trying to tell us here? Are you telling folks that you're on a supplement diet as well?
I am. I go to trueearth.co and use the promo code AMRAD24 to get 10% off everything they have store wide.
That wasn't a cue up for a promo, man. Steve's like, he's gone into broadcaster mode where it's just like, if you push the button, then he just pushes up, the promo just comes out. So we started this chat off, folks, before we got the podcast rolling, and Steve jumps on. He asked me if I changed the password. I did change the password, by the way, right? It's a good one.
You did.
And I'm drinking tea, and he goes, "How you doing?" And I go, I'm better. I'm doing, better than I was the other day. And what was your response?
I swam with dolphins yesterday.
What did I say to you?
I don't think it was safe for
F you. That's what I said. I said F you. Steve went straight from, "Oh, you're feeling slightly better? I swam with these beautiful mammalian creatures that live underwater, and they can breathe through their face holes, and they chirp around us, and they did all kinds of exciting things." What was the situation of swimming with dolphins?
This is actually a really cool experience. My wife got it for the family for Christmas. She got this Black Friday deal. This is a place called Discovery Cove in Orlando. They cap the number of people that can show up. It's like between 1,000 and 1,300. And you go there and you can swim with dolphins and go snorkeling and just do like the whole Florida experience. And you're in the water. And everybody else went in with their bathing suits. I got the full body wetsuit because, I'm an iguana and I'll freeze to death. And I was the only one who wasn't freezing to death. I was very relieved that I made that decision. It's one of the few really good decisions I've apparently made in the last couple of years.
Well, are these captive dolphins? Like, why are they in the cove?
36 dolphins that they, circulate between SeaWorld and this place. And they let you ride them across the lagoon. They tell you everything you want to know. I mean, it did defecate while it was posing for a picture with me and kissing my face. I'll have to send you those pictures.
All right, let me tell you the secret about dolphins. You probably don't know this. So when I was in the Air Force, my dive partner was a guy named Jamie. Jamie is a legend human being. He's like 6'8". He's really tall and skinny, and he was this much slower than me. He was a scholarship athlete at USC, and he was almost as fast as me with fins on. So that's my great claim to fame, that when we would swim together, it was like a Scotty dog and a Great Dane, because I'm 5'8". Of course, he's a lot bigger. And the best part about swimming with Jamie was he also was a professional diver. So prior to his time in the Air Force, the guy used to run the chamber at Catalina Island. He had a master's degree in marine biology. He got a Rolex fellowship to basically just go around and like drink pineapple rum drinks and go and dive all these crazy places. So he just took the Rolex flag with him, and he did like dives in the Dead Sea and a bunch of shark dives and all this other crazy stuff. And he's like, "You know what animal I'm most scared of in all the ocean?"
It's got to be a dolphin, right? It can't be a great white.
It's not great whites. It's dolphins. And that's not a thing you're usually going to hear from a guy who spends all of his time in the water and is a professional diver. And I go, "Why is that?" He goes, "Man, dolphins are the frat boys of the ocean." All right. And I know you can appreciate this because of your great love for frat boys. He goes, "They're the frat boys of the ocean. They just swim and eat and F, and they don't care about anything." And so whenever you hear about one of these stories like, "Oh my God, a dolphin saved my life. It just grabbed me and swam towards shore." That's just because he was going towards shore and he grabbed onto you because you were in the way. And he was like, he just grabbed onto you like a drunken idiot falling down off a stool at a bar and just drag you to shore. And for every one story of a sailor or some lady who fell off a boat and got saved by getting dragged to shore, there are 5 stories of people who were dragged off into the deep and will never be heard from again. And you'll never hear the story because the dolphin killed them.
So what you're saying is that Flipper, that the 70s television show, was just really good PR for some psychopathic sea mammalian creature that is on a rampage of death?
Yeah.
I'll buy it. That's
you
fine.
heard it here first. Look,
They're
here
chumming the waters for the sharks. Got it.
We are here for the uncomfortable truths, man. We are here to drop the
Team
uncomfortable knowledge. So what is the big stuff that's been going on? We had Biden overseas embarrassing us. I got a couple of good clips of that. We had Alabama put some big girl in charge. Like, I'm sad for that girl. Did you see the Alabama Miss Alabama pageant situation?
I didn't see it because I was swimming with dolphins, but I'll be happy to see that.
F you. So the current Miss Alabama looks like she ate like the last 3 or 4 of them. She's like a smush monster. She's not even like a pretty fat person. It's not her fault, obviously. It's really gross that we've arrived at this time where we are so interested in other people's feelings that we forgot about objective reality. And I think we're actually experiencing a lot of that on social media right now. You and I are kind of seeing that people have just gone into this weird tribal thing. So if you're on tribe pride or tribe, fat people are beautiful because fat is not a choice, and you can be healthy at any weight or whatever other weird things that are not true. You end up here, which I think is actually really scary. I'm going to start with this video clip. Are you ready?
Send it.
You live in Florida. There are parts of Florida that are declaring, folks, you are on your own. You can no longer call the police. At least that's what I took from this message. I don't know what else they were trying to put out there.
We all want to feel safe and respected, no matter who we are. Our newest commemorative badge, one of 9 that members of the department can choose to collect or wear, is a symbol of our department's commitment to serving members of the LGBTQ+ community with understanding. By fostering open communication, we can make sure that everyone feels comfortable reaching out to the police whenever they need help. The badge incorporates the rainbow flag, as well as the 5-color chevron that represents people of color and the transgender community. Together, these colors symbolize the continued progress for marginalized groups within the LGBTQ+ community and the forward movement for inclusion within society. This badge can be a conversation starter, a way to show that we are allies, and a symbol of safety for those who might be hesitant to interact with the police.
We're here to listen, learn, and help you with anything that works towards creating a feeling of a safer, more inclusive community for everyone.
I need that black guy to blink twice if he is not safe. Go ahead. What do you got on that?
This is extremely dangerous. I mean, it's a laugh line. You can roll your eyes and say, oh my gosh, look at the snowflakes in Tampa, Florida. Oh, they're so woke. It's ridiculous. This is a sorting mechanism that police department is using that's undeniable. They're going to sort through people who will be allies or even people who are willing to just follow orders, because who's not going to wear that commemorative badge? Who's not going to buy it and wear it all month long? Well, if you're not willing to do that, well, now they have you identified as an Untermensch.
Who's not wearing the ribbon? Who's not wearing the ribbon, Steve?
It is a HIV/AIDS walk, so you better wear the ribbon. And we saw what happened to Kramer in a Seinfeld episode that was a sitcom, so he got beat up by the mob and was kind of trudging through at the end and to the canned laughter. But that's what happens to people who find themselves on the outside. That's why a J.K. Rowling, who is the most successful author in the history of the planet, is now on the outside and being disinvited from Harry Potter events, who she invented that character.
Mm-hmm. One of the interesting things that I remember Dan Bongino, who is no longer happy with us, he said that we have done more damage to the FBI's lying narratives than anybody has ever done, and at least in recent memory, but possibly in history in America, to come forward and expose the malfeasance and the dirty deeds of our agency that we used to work at. And then we made the audacious statement that somebody who makes false claims is in fact not saying things that are honest. And I don't care about clicks. I'm not jealous of anybody's clicks, but what I do want to see is I don't want to see somebody getting outraged, because I actually just did a radio show just before we went live here. And they said, what are you worried about? I said, I am worried about somebody doing a Tim McVeigh, that they are so incensed by the false information that is in front of them, that they are stirred up to this fever pitch, that they're going to go do something dangerous and dumb to somebody that didn't do anything to them at all. You know, some poor bastard that you and I used to work with who simply might be following orders, but is certainly not evil in their hearts and doesn't deserve whatever sort of, kinetic action is coming their way. They should probably have some administrative actions. I'm really worried that this rhetoric ratcheting and this sort of purity test, it doesn't matter whether it's a woke place in Tampa or whether it's happening on, conservative media sites. It's really scary stuff right now. We're living in the dumbest time, I feel like, which is why we don't have a team.
There's not a release valve on all the tension that's building up for one side of the country, politically speaking. And I did this whole podcast on this on the American Radicals podcast about the PT buff element of it, how you have the communist America, that their demand is, we want you to punish our enemies, which is how you can get this coalition of we love Hamas and we also want to chop off our genitals, and we believe that the sun monster is getting out of hand and we need to stop all oil production. People who have nothing in common, but they're all common cause is punish our enemies and we'll be happy with you and we'll sort out who's the winner in the end. And the other side has representation that says, we'll give you memes and cable news hits and write strongly worded letters. And the people that are adhering to that worldview, and those are they're represented by those guys, they're not getting the feedback, they're not getting the release valve, and you're going to have someone who takes matters into their own hands and has the Bubba effect, which will then keep us going into a death spiral, because it will justify all the arguments like, oh, see, they really are anti-government, anti-authority, violent extremists, and we need to bring down Damocles' sword on all of their heads because we do pre-crime now in federal law enforcement with the FBI, and We are happy to take away their civil liberties, and we're going to use all the levers of power at our fingertips to do it, and not really have to apologize at that point, because there will be an outcry for keep us safe.
This is exactly right. There's no bleed off valve. There's no safety release. And we're just seeing ratcheted up. Like, at least the political left, you watch these videos. I watched this video of some lazy woman who was in like a trailer park or something. And nothing against the possibility of decent people being in trailer parks, but this lady didn't seem very nice. She's sitting there and she's screaming, they got him, they got Giraffe, they got Giraffe. And she's falling all over her table. And the dog is like, oh my God, like, what's this lady about? And so she's freaking out. She's screaming. She's calling and texting people. She's never met Donald Trump. She has no real beef with Donald Trump. In the same way that, like, Joe Biden hasn't done any, well, Joe Biden actually did the mandate, didn't he? So Joe Biden may have taken our jobs personally. We may have some actual skin in the game here, but I still don't celebrate. Like, when Joe dies, because he's going to die at some point, like pretty soon, based on what I'm looking at. He doesn't even know where he is anymore. He's going to stop breathing accidentally, and that'll be it for him. And I'm not going to celebrate. You're not going to see me cheering. I'm not going to be rage texting my friends. I'm not going to be falling over my coffee table with excitement. It'll be like, and so ends the next terrible chapter in American history. I wonder what other evil is in front for us, because I think that's what's coming. So, but there is no bleed off valve. That lady has the conviction of Donald Trump to lose her mind about kinetic actions against what she perceives as her enemies. People on our side here, and our side being people who care about what's truth and who look around and say, oh, government's really dangerous. There's no wins. I haven't seen a win since we went public with our stories, other than, as you said, maybe some hearings.
It's what defines how do you define victory? And I think all too often defining victory for the conservative, quote unquote, conservative movement, which, side note, this movement stinks. When you have people who are leading the movement saying you shouldn't have friendly fire within the movement. So ergo, we're going to do friendly fire within the movement for people who criticize our movement. But when you define victory for that movement as, oh, we had a hearing and I got on Fox News and donate to my campaign, that's insufficient for the regular folks. That if that's the benefit, but I guess that really is the benefit that people demand, because we keep sending the same people back to represent us and saying, look at all the good work they're doing. I'm seeing it on all the memes that they've created, and look at all the Twitter threads that I see, but there's not an accountability, which is how you get, they're going to lock up former President Donald Trump. He's going to be incarcerated. That's gravity. That's happening. Whereas, what was this, 8 years ago, there were chants for lock her up, and we didn't deliver. We said, oh, she's been through enough already. We're going to move on. Same as Bud Light, right? We had Bud Light up against the wall. Their sales were through the floor. And then Dana White comes in, gives them this big contract with UFC, and then it's like, hey, let's back off. It's a great American company. And look at Anheuser-Busch. They're worth more today than they were a year ago when they were going through the boycott.
It is a, it's snatching defeat from the jaws of victory situation continually. It's wild to watch it. Somebody in the chat was just mentioning, well, Marcus just won. Marcus won because Marcus did exactly what we're doing, which is pushing that envelope, and we're demanding for ourselves. Like, nobody else really won in Marcus's case yet. I hope it's the first domino. I feel good about that. But we're talking about someone that just spent 27 months in a personal hellhole with the government that he signed up to serve as a Marine, with the government that he worked for as an FBI SOS, not an agent, Sheila Jackson Lee. He got to experience betrayal for 27 months, and there was no guarantee that there was going to be a positive outcome. Now, luckily, Marcus is a very faithful guy. I don't know how much you've spoken to him, but he gets it. He prays about this. He has inspired dreams. And so he's been holding the line in a place of hope. But is that really a win that's going to echo for the country, for average people? I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. And it's because of people like Sheila Jackson Lee. They don't get theirs very quickly.
In Marcus's situation, one, he did things very buttoned up. He did them like as a silent professional. There's a reason that you don't know Marcus Allen's name very much, because he had that one public testimony, and outside of that, he's not a public person. He doesn't have the social media, contrary to what Congressman Garcia or Sanchez or whatever one was.
You're right. I was wrong.
He's waited it out, and who amongst us has that ability to just sit there and not only financially take it and absorb it for over 2 years, but have the patience of Job to hold their tongue that long. That's a very small portion of people that have that ability to do that. And as a result of his victory here, because he's been quiet, it's not going to get the acclaim, which is, I think, one of the releases on the pressure valve that we need to have. We need to have, hey, big news. Fed boy Kyle Seraphin, whose podcast is fully funded by the United States government, got a big settlement from the FBI.
That's like an IQ test for everybody too. Apparently, whenever you say that, people go like, "Oh my God!" Apparently, Steve also thinks that Kyle is a Fed.
There's a feud within the Suspendables. It's very much like it's one of my favorite movies. It was an HBO special. It's 61 asterisk 61 about Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle battling to break the Babe Ruth single season home run record. And they were roommates and buddies in the movie. And there's a scene where the media comes up and says, "We hear there's a feud between Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris." And they're sitting there like watching the news and like eating on the couch. And it's like, "Hey, are we feuding?" "Yeah, I guess so. They said so on the news." "Well, F you then."
Yeah, exactly. Well, you heard it here first. Steve talked to me about my sickness by telling me about his dolphin experience. So that's the feud right there. Generate it up. I just want to play how evil and stupid the people are that we're up against and why there should be a bleed off valve, why there should be a release. I'm going to tap back into a 1-year-old little clip that was just circulated in our feud chat between you and me and Garrett and Phil and the other guys. This is Sheila Jackson Lee calling Marcus an FBI agent because she doesn't know that anybody who works for the FBI could have another job. And Chris Wray kind of going along with it because, they carry water for Democrats. It's very interesting. You ever watch him talk, and we're going to cover some of his remarks about asking for more money. Man, the Democrats cannot help themselves, like just kissing his buttocks. It's their favorite thing to do. This guy that supposedly was part of Trump's FBI. Here we go. Ready?
Are you familiar with former FBI agents Garrett O'Boyle and Marcus Allen?
Again, I'm familiar with the names.
Thank you. O'Boyle was suspended for accessing information about an ongoing case and then leaking to the press, and Allen was suspended for interfering in the investigation of a January 6th suspect. Both Allen and O'Boyle testified before the Weaponization Committee in May. Were you aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
I think they are clearly there for all friends and family to see. I assume they wanted to be seen. Do you know who Kash Patel is, if you know?
Yes, I know who he is.
He's an aide to President Trump, isn't he? Or was an aide? Or is an aide to President Trump?
Well, he was an individual who served in a number of different roles, both up here on the Hill and in the executive branch.
Thank you. Here's another picture. It's the checks that Seraphin sent to both O'Boyle and Allen. Each check was for $255,194. Let me say that again. These men were paid $255,194 after they testified as so-called whistleblowers. And it should be noted that it says here, as it says, for holding the line.
There it is. There's the checks, man. The checks of holding the line. You get paid by Kyle Seraphin, who is Kash Patel.
Well, I mean, your names start with K.
Mm-hmm.
That was the connection that Sheila Jackson Lee made, which is why she thinks that you're not one, but multiple people, agents, Seraphin, and saw the first letter of the signature started with a K, and ergo had to be Kash Patel, ergo had to be connected to Donald Trump, and she could throw out those names during her time. She could reclaim those 5 minutes while talking to Christopher Wray. And you sent them those checks, which they didn't cash because they are holding the line still. Now Marcus is moving on from our ex-girlfriend, and he is a recovering FBI employee, not an FBI agent. Hopefully that money, which people gave charitably in the aftermath of our testimony, will actually get to where we said it was going to go. We haven't used it. It's just been sitting in a bank account. We're waiting to give it to the guys that we told people on the Give, Send, Go it was going to go to, and they've held the line, and Garrett continues to hold the line, and there's a reason that he's still without pay.
Yeah, that's why we call it the last line Substack in some ways. The last line is that thing. It's called truth. And if you're on Team Truth, you will find that people will shoot at you from all angles. Hey, let's just do a merch store read right here. Folks, if you want to support my friend Garrett O'Boyle, who is in fact still holding the line, you'll see that is the, right there, that shirt is the Last Line Substack logo. It's the rifle with a quill coming out the end of it. It's a really good looking rifle. It's a really good looking, iconic sort of silhouette. And you guys can get your own on a shirt or on any of the other things that he has running over at the-suspendables.com. Don't forget the dash in between the and suspendables, or you will go to a hockey website and you will not get what you want. You will get some sort of penalty box. You can use promo code Kyle, K-Y-L-E. We don't make any money off that. You just save an extra 10% because, I don't know, because we do. The-suspendables.com. It's a free read because we keep my friend busy, and it keeps him from his violent thoughts, which I'm sure are many when you hear people like Sheila Jackson Lee impugning your honor and being a general dirtbag and going out there and talking to Chris Wray, who recently just went out and asked for more money, did he not? Let's just throw this on the thing here. This is from the 2025 budget request of the FBI. He's speaking to Chairwoman Sheehan, who we read an article from the other day, Ranking Member Morin, the members of the committee, blah, blah, blah. He says the financial year 2025 budget request proposes a total of $11.3 billion in direct budget authority to carry out the FBI's national security intelligence. Listen to what they say, folks. We've told you this a million times. What are the most important parts? National security, intelligence. The third is criminal law enforcement. They tell you who they are. You should believe them. The gross request includes the amount for salaries and expenses. It will support the 37,083 positions, including 13,623 armed special agents, and then those 3,300 intelligence analysts. Steve Friend, do we need an $11.3 billion direct budget authority for the FBI still?
Well, we have a proof of concept that was called 2020 when the FBI went home and didn't do anything, and things at a federal level remained relatively calm. I mean, I think at local levels where police departments stood down and civil unrest ensued, that was not an FBI issue, even though there may have been an actual domestic terrorist angle to it. The FBI really wasn't interested in taking that on. So $11.3 billion, it's a drop in the ocean for the overall federal deficit, federal debt, but I think we could maybe we could give that all to Garrett O'Boyle and Marcus Allen.
They'd probably do a better job with it.
They would definitely not identify anti-government, anti-authority, violent extremists, which is part of that statement, as the top priority. And I want to go back to one thing you said. They're not hiding it. They're telling you who they are. It's very much like the jihadi terrorists, where people are like, really? You think you're going to kill yourself and blow yourself up and going to wake up in paradise with 70 virgins? It's like, it doesn't matter if you think it's crazy.
They think it's true.
He believes it, which needs to be taken into consideration. That's how serious that is. Similarly, the FBI tells you we're an intelligence agency. They were just talking about the anniversary of the intelligence branch this week.
Yep.
It's 10 years old.
It's only 10 years old, people. This is a new problem. This happened recently. I'm going to read this from the statement because you just made reference to it. Domestic and homegrown violent extremists are often motivated and inspired by a mix of social and political, ideological, personal grievances against their targets, blah, 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 blah. And they target things like their biggest worry is civilians, law enforcement, the military, symbols of U.S. government. So basically us, themselves. And then it says the top domestic terrorism threat we continue to be facing from DVEs we categorize as racially or ethically motivated violent extremists and anti-government, anti-authority violent extremists, aka white supremacists, and anybody who doesn't think the government's doing a great job. The number of FBI terrorism investigations has more than doubled since 2020. How many of those are J6 cases there, Mr. Steve?
Almost all of them are January 6 cases, which most of them actually aren't even terrorism cases if you go by the Turk system, the time utilization or record keeping that the FBI has. A lot of them are 176 cases, which is a criminal riot violation, but they're still being housed under the umbrella of domestic terrorism. So they're not being consistent with any of the record keeping or any of the case management practices. And all of that is Brady material that should be turned over to defense. The fact that the FBI is departing from its own rules, can't follow those own rules, is noteworthy. Well, what other questions are there about the investigations? And that's to set aside the whole weaponization element where we're going to send a SWAT team to arrest a guy who said that he would cooperate with you. And we're going to wait. First of all, we'll wait 18 months to do that. Yeah. Nothing possibly bad could happen. You're definitely not going to wind up in a shootout with a guy and then wind up killing his wife and small child.
I just noticed that I'm drinking this coffee mug here from Dat's, which is a place called Dat's Deli, and it was in Tampa, Florida, of all places, which is now fully woke. And it was on a CT case that I was on, where they set up, created, and then designed a terrorism case. And they even took that guy into custody very gently by waiting until they lured him outside, flashbanged him at his feet in an open parking lot, and took him to custody. They didn't even hit his house at 0600. Maybe out of respect for themselves, because they didn't want to get blown up or shot at, because that's what would have happened, and maybe they would have taken actual fire. It's much better to have it go one way than two ways on the two-way range. So anyway, just kind of an interesting little thought that I had. I've got some fun evidence of, let's call it shenanigans. Is shenanigans the right word? Judicial Watch just put this out the other day, folks. That's why I played the Sheila Jackson thing. Judicial Watch records show that the FBI provided Democrats, House Democrats, with information on the whistleblowers who testified at the May 2023 weaponization hearing. Now, it just turns out, weirdly enough, Steve, you were one of those people. Your own agency was leaking personnel information so that you could be attacked by Dan Goldman and Jerry Nadler and Stacey Plaskett and even dummies like that one, Sheila Jackson. She wasn't there that day, was she?
No, I didn't get a chance to meet Sheila Jackson.
I don't think she's on that committee.
No, it's a select subcommittee, but she might have actually raised the IQ level in there because she can read most letters. I don't know.
She seems to read most of the letters.
Garcia.
Yeah, she stumbles over them, but she probably also knows when a Twitter account is not. But then again, she thinks I'm Kash Patel. So what do we think about this? What is this revelation? Which this is actually like the kind of stuff where bombshells come out, in my opinion. If you want to talk about a bombshell revelation, the nonpartisan, non-political FBI, I put those in air quotes, obviously, because that's nonsense, colluded with a political party to smear people that were calling out their agency for malfeasance.
And was the introduction to that two-way street that eventually happened. It was a supervisory special agent, as Judicial Watch was able to learn, who reached out to Dan Goldman and said, hey, I'm in a position that I know things that I'd like to provide them to you. And we could do that without having to go through executive management chains all the way up. We can give plausible deniability to people. What are the chances that that supervisory special agent who just took their first step into the management ladder of the FBI, maybe they got sort of a wink, wink, nod, nod from up high. Hey, you'll be really great for your career if you did that. And then there's the betrayal aspect to it, where there's actually a legal Privacy Act problem and there's civil remedies, and they leak this information to the Democrats, and they can make the argument that they're trying to turn things over to congressional committees, which they're supposed to do, but you don't just give it to the minority party. And then they had this whole dog and pony show where they revoked my security clearance the night before I testified, and same with Marcus, and then leaked that to the media to discredit us. So one, with a revoked security clearance, my hopes of getting into any sort of security work are slim to none, we'll say. And then what about the discrediting my credibility? What are my future earning prospects? Because now I've had a revoked security clearance. I mean, there's significant financial damages that they've inflicted on me for the rest of my life. And that came from inside my own colleagues. That's my organization. You want to talk about like infighting within a movement? Well, how about the FBI? Well, what do they do to their own? And the question then becomes, if they're willing to do that to somebody within their own who came to them and said, guys, I am uncomfortable with what's going on here. Can you look at that? And in the meantime, can you put me on something else? Which is what I actually asked them to do. And they said, no, you will do what you're told. And if you don't, then we're going to destroy you, and we're going to destroy your family and destroy your future. If they're willing to do that to me, and I actually carried the gun and the badge, what are they going to do to someone who didn't, who's on the outside in this very us versus them mentality that they've sort of created for themselves nationwide?
This is what we've been talking about from the beginning, people. It's not about what they did to us. It's an example of that. We were on the inside of it, and they chose this. They went out there and weaponized like their HR department, and they brought your files, which, by the way, have nothing damaging, which is why you guys withstood all that. Mine would have been more interesting because they would have been like, what about this? And I'd be like, oh, that didn't happen. What else? Today I got asked on a radio program. They're like, you called Julie Kelly high school mean girl and middling intellect and a midwit. And I was like, yeah, she is. She attacked Garrett O'Boyle's time at the FBI when she has 0 hours at the FBI. She literally wrote a statement out there going after Garrett saying, and how much time exactly were you at the FBI anyway? It's like 10,000 hours of duty. How about that? How many minutes of FBI duty do you have? None? Shut up. F you. You're an idiot. You're dumb.
Well, I mean, she definitely knows even what an org chart looks like for the FBI, right? That's why she called FBI Special Agent Garrett O'Boyle a FBI cop.
FBI cop, right. Look,
it's an actual position.
Yeah.
There's FBI police, and that's not what Garrett was.
Right. And those aren't cops either. FBI police
they're
are
like the
security
mall
guards.
police for Quantico.
They're the Capitol Police of the FBI. Yeah. It's really silly stuff. I've got another good example here. First, I want to thanks to my friends at Catholic Vote who continue to support us, which is why we're able to do what we do, and we can tell you the things that we think are true, and then you guys can skeptically evaluate it, and we're fine with that. That's what we want. We want people to think on their own, not blindly follow some personality. CatholicVote.org is where you can go if you want to support their movement for Donald Trump. Somebody just discovered today that I am not MAGA, Steve. Apparently, that's a big news break on Twitter. I'm not MAGA. I'm just a guy that cares about outcomes. I want my family to grow up in an America that cares about Christian values. That means faith, family, and freedom. I do that by working with these guys over at Catholic Vote. We have a really good Between the Lines that was just dropped yesterday for D-Day. Check that out at CatholicVote.org. You can see the loop, or you can go to rumble.com or youtube.com/Catholic Vote. Check out our newest episode there. I think you guys will actually find that to be very true. Like I said, there are some truths that are inspired and they have nothing to do with me and they have nothing to do with anybody else other than I'm a vessel for it. And I think that was one of them, especially when I was doing it in the middle of a febrile sickness. Check out our new Between the Lines podcast over there. And Steve, here's the thing. I want to drop this because we might as well. The DOJ proves that it's not weaponized all the time by doing weaponized stuff. Yes?
Just ask them.
Yeah, they're totally not weaponized. They're just going to use the FACE Act to go after certain people. This is the newest one. This is going to outrage some of you that are paying attention. This is coming from City Journal. This was tweeted out by Chris Rufo. He does a lot of work on the transgender movement. This is another, what I would call bombshell type disclosure. We've had Dr. Eithan Haim on this show. He was working in a surgical residency at Texas Christian Hospital. He found out that they were, in fact, accomplishing gender surgeries when they claimed that they were no longer doing them publicly, but they were privately still doing so. He made that call out as a whistleblower to there's no real approved channel when you work for a private entity. So he went to a reporter. He brought him into some folks and said, this is a real problem. And the outcome was predictable. He's been indicted. He's been indicted on 4 counts of violating HIPAA. You remember those big HIPAA cases that people would always brag about in the Bureau, and they would be like, yeah, we got a HIPAA case. Do you ever remember this?
Yes, that was right after they bragged about the 18 USC 1001 bus that they had, where they sent in the tactical team because the guy lied to them during an investigation about something that was, immaterial to what they were looking at, even on the idea that the case was legitimate to begin with.
Yeah. We love nonsensical cases, apparently. You've got the DOJ now going after a doctor. They're literally proving weaponization because what was he doing? He went after the preferred people. He went after the alphabet people. That's it. He exposed
this is the difference between the two sides, the movements, if you have to go with that term. The one side will punish their enemies because they're true believers at great cost to themselves if necessary. Look, there's a reason that Disney is collapsing because the communists took it over and they said, we don't care. We're not in this to make money. We want to fundamentally transform everything. And Disney is a big part of the DNA of the American culture. So we're going to do it. And then you have the other side, which is what's in it for us? Well, we better have we got to have good meme every now and then. We've got to have some cable news hits so our bellies get scratched. But then there's a profit incentive to it. Well, it has to be a good investment, which is why you don't have a lot of billionaires on the right who are investing in things that are actual losses to them financially, but might move the ball in the Overton window to the right. And that's where we kind of find ourselves out in the cold because we're looked at as being of the right. And the right's like, wait a minute, you're willing to sacrifice something? There's no ulterior motive? No, there's got to be, right? You got to be really a Fed boy. That doesn't make sense to me at all. You believe in truth? So that's like a communist. But you're on our side. There's a disconnect here. The neurons aren't firing.
There's no grift, so get out. We can't make any money off this nonsense. This guy doesn't even want to play for our team all the time. So He won't even wear the logos. He won't even wear our logos. He made his own logo up, whatever the heck that is.
Wear the hat. Wear the ribbon. Wear the hat. You
yeah,
must.
wear the badge. Wear the badge that has the rainbow on it. It's really wild. Somebody just mentioned in the chat too, how many HIPAA violations were engaged in by the federal government, outing all of our private medical information when it comes to whether or not you were vaccinated or not, and that you had to tell it to somebody that had nothing to do with you, that had no medical reason or justification for knowing your status. You had to go tell your boss. You had to like swear to test all these people. You had to go on tests. So your timekeeper had to know. Then the lead timekeeper. That's just the federal government side of it. We are so ideologically inconsistent in this country right now.
The FBI gave my medical information to the New York Times.
Right.
During Hurricane Ian, when I was in a position without phone reception or internet, completely out of contact. And they told the New York Times that I was unvaccinated, which is why I was a problematic employee. And on top of that, was under investigation for shooting a firearm in my backyard.
Which we think was probably Sheila Jackson Lee actually telling the New York Times via the FBI, because how else could you screw that up? Because they were trying to tell the story of me, which was also wrong. You guys can find it on the Rumble channel if you want to go back to the beginning. Search Sonoma Ranch. If you just search Sonoma Ranch, you'll actually find the body cam footage of me shooting a firearm, not in my backyard. But that's the thing that they blame Steve Friend for. Very funny.
They did, and they did it in a position where I couldn't respond. And when I finally got like one bar and got in touch with my lawyer, they were losing their minds. They're like, wait, tell us about you were shooting a gun. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about there, but let's talk about this HIPAA thing, because that really, there's a Privacy Act thing if there's a personnel investigation, but I think HIPAA is pretty cut and dry. They shouldn't be telling the news about that. And they were like, yeah, you're right. We'll go with that. And they spiked the story, which is kind of to my great chagrin, because I like people to know that I'm didn't take the gene juice. I have no problem if people know that. And on top of that, I kind of want to get me some of that Nick Sandman money, which I thought I probably would have gotten from the old gray lady if they'd run that.
Yeah, they should have run that. That's too bad. I want to show you, this is how unserious our country is. We put this old doddering person. This is why these agencies are running amok. What's the old adage? When the cat is away, the mouse will play. There's no strong helm. There's no consequences for even just being crappy partisans. Like if you're a smart partisan, you can get away with like hitting the edges. I think that Obama was a pretty smart partisan. He put his people into place. People raged against it. What happened? Nothing. He got away with all of it. I keep wondering, people go like, there's either two types of people, the trust the plan people, or, like what's the plan people? And all of it is like, you're the plan people. Have you not figured this out? And the plan is that you're getting screwed over because we've got this guy walking around. So here was a story that I didn't see covered in the mainstream. I went looking for it. I found this eventually on, I think it's called Express. It's a British publication that thought this was kind of silly. Express News. And we got some video of it. Joe Biden getting pulled away from D-Day event by his wife when viewers say, hey, what the heck's going on? And Steve, you'll laugh. Like he literally, he doesn't know what's going on. And we put him out on the world stage at the 80th anniversary of America's military triumph, if you want to call it that. There's a fair number of people that are looking back on it going like, what a waste of time and money and what a terrible thing. It shows what America can do, but maybe not what America should do. That's another debate. That's a George Hill debate. Watch this stuff. First of all, he doesn't know how TAPS works. He doesn't know customs and courtesies. This guy's been in government for 50 years. Like, there's no excuse other than, his brain doesn't work anymore.
Distinguished guests, please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
What is he doing? He's like petting an invisible man. That's part one. Here's the TAPS play out. Ready?
So that was from earlier, and this is live now.
Just the best, if you guys watch this, I'll play it again for you guys actually so you can see it again. The best is Macron's face, okay? Macron's wife is like, what? Quoi? Yeah. And then watch Macron. He just goes, this is what we're doing now. We are now covering for this crazy old man. Watch his face as he nods along, and he was like, yeah, everybody turns their back on whatever's going on in front of them. You see him just nodding along. He's like, yep, that's what we're doing now. We've got to cover for this crazy old dude so that he doesn't do weird stuff like start a war or whatever else is going on. Completely out to lunch. On the world stage.
He's an empty vessel. I think the video of him sitting down, if you watch like an extra few seconds, like they all kind of sit down. I think that one's kind of been viral for the wrong reasons. But this incident aside, there's no doubt that that guy doesn't know where he is or when he is, and he continues to prove my ongoing thesis that the worst people in the world are liberal white women, Jill Biden being one of them, who allows her husband to go out there. She knows. And why is she allowing him to do that, to completely destroy his reputation, which I'm on board for. I think he's a pretty awful guy. If he keels over during a speech, I won't shed a tear for that. He's just proven himself to be a complete grifter and just an awful person, just a jerk. And that should be his reputation. That should be his legacy. But she watches her husband get out there and they watch the apothecary juice him up with whatever they need him to get through the next 30 or 40 minutes.
I needed that last week, by the way.
Yeah. You should have just gone swimming with the dolphins. It really reinvigorates you. It's good for your skin and lots of sunshine, and you won't find yourself, stroking out because you get the bird flu.
No, I'll probably get dragged off into the ocean where I drown. You know how that's my luck right now. Here, speaking of the worst women in the world, here she is. She just walked him out in the middle of meeting with a bunch of veterans. They were just like, peace, we're popping smoke. And here they go. That guy's the best. He's like, I don't know where he went. He just ran off. We got to send the security detail over there. Like, no, dudes, the president just left. He's leaving. He's on his own. We don't know where he's going. And Jill's like, look, I'm not standing next to a dude who smells like a dirty diaper for any minutes longer. We're in France. I'm going to be cultured and I'm just going to walk him off into the sunset. So they just walked off. Nobody knew that was happening. Nobody knew why. Just left.
It looked to me that the way that video keeps going, that Macron gets something from that veteran. He hands him like a keepsake or some sort of memento, and he looks down at it like, wow, thank you very much. And they kind of embrace after that. And I don't know if maybe that guy was trying to give it to Biden or just to Macron, but like that
he just said, screw it, I'm giving it to somebody who's American.
Somebody who's got a suit
All
on,
Americans are the same. Well, I mean, did he marry a man? Is that possible too? My wife brings me the best conspiracy stuff, by the way. Do you have that? I remember sitting on, hold on, this is a totally personal story, but we were sitting on surveillance one time and one daughter in, I think. So she's got like more time than she has now. And she was just down a YouTube rabbit hole. And she sends me a text message and she was like, hey, I'm watching a lot of the stuff and doing this Alex Jones thing. And I go, all right, hon. Yeah, I'll be home in like whatever, a couple hours. And then she sends me like, there's silence for a little while. And then I get this text back. Is it possible that Michelle Obama is a man? And I'm like, what have you been watching there, love? And they're like, what are we into here? Like, I don't know. And then she showed me some videos and then I'm like, damn it. Now I don't know. I don't even know.
Now you think that Big Mike is actually a thing.
It's possible. I mean, those Ellen videos are real weird. What's going on inside those pants? What's happening?
I'm distracted by her awesome arms. I endeavor to be jacked like Michelle Obama is.
Does she just shrug all the time? Is she just she's just shrugging 500?
Lateral raises, diamond push-ups. I mean, she's probably on the Ruth Bader Ginsburg style of workout plans, like a complete savage. And that's why, you go back to the Alabama.
This is why Democrats win, because their women are built like men.
Like a brick house, man. But you go to that Alabama model show and how, you feel bad for the girl. But there's a reason that people like Melania Trump, who was an actual supermodel. The term model means like that's a standard and none of us are up to it. And yet got 8 years of Michelle Obama has the arms of a Greek god and Melania Trump. Have you seen what she just wore? She's awful.
Yeah, she's awful because she wears whatever fashion. Dude, I hate first ladies. Is that weird? I despise all of them. They're elected to nothing. I don't care who they are. I actually, because the media makes them a thing, it makes me like them less. They're like British royalty to me. Irrelevant, useless. I don't care. Whatever happens to them is not interesting to me. I want to not know. I want to know less about first ladies and I want to know less about British royalty. They're the same type of people. They're famous because they're famous.
British royalty are essentially welfare queens and kings. Like, that's what they are. They are government. They live in government housing. They get welfare from the government.
Have you been in any of the? Have you been in any like the British royalties, like nobody's ever heard of Duke, like, you know, second Archduke of some forest somewhere? Have you ever been in one of their houses?
No, I've never gone to Europe because America.
Let me just tell you, I went on a study abroad and I spent like a couple of nights at the Windsor House, whatever the heck it is. And it's like it's the house of the Lord of Windsor, whatever the heck that is. I don't even know what it is. It was amazing. It was an amazing house. It was really flipping cool. They had like one of the coolest bathrooms. It was like they rent out the rooms for people to come in for student tours or whatever. And I spent like 2 days there walking around in the forest. It was awesome. And you're like, who pays for all this stuff? Oh, the crown pays for it. Well, what does the crown do for nothing? Like, they must have a really, really impressive YouTube account, I guess. No, they just tax the people. They're succubuses. They take money and they do nothing. We have a political class that essentially does the same sort of thing. And then they have to go get more money because that's not like, oh man, there's something very, very funny. I've done 2 British accents today on accident. I didn't mean to. I must be feeling better. God, I despise.
Different regions.
Yeah,
you definitely went like the Oliver Twist on one of them, and Windsor House on the second.
Well, there's
range.
There are some posh type British accents, and there are some less posh. And then there's some like, I used to actually fake a British accent when I was in England. You won't be surprised to find this. Americans would walk up to me and then they would ask me a question. They'd be like, hey, like, how do you get to this place? You know, like, do you know how to get to Victoria Station? And I'd go, right, yeah. Well, you're going to have to go down that way about 3 minutes, yeah? And you're going to see a pub. It's called like something about a deer, like the king's head with a king's heart. There's something with a rack of antlers, is there not? Yeah, there really is. That's what you're going to see. You're going to make a left turn right there, about 3 more minutes, pop off right on your right. You can't miss it. And then they'd be like, oh, and then they'd walk off and not know what I was saying. And I was giving good directions, but they were like really crappy British directions. And that made my day. That made my day to confuse Americans in there. But now I hate British accents. I despise hearing them whenever I see them. I think less of them. I think these are people that kowtow to like weak human beings that have a genetic tree that looks basically straight and they have like the personality of a thumb.
I did some training with some British guys, and they were military. They never actually fired pistols before. They were trying to pick that up
over there now, are they?
But they were hysterical, and I just at one point asked them, I was like, "You guys know that your accents are, you know, you make the women weak in their knees, right? That they sound cool." And they were like, "Yeah." I said, "Is there anything about our accent that impresses you?" And the one gentleman explained to me that he was really jealous of the way that when we in America swear, that it sounds way better than when they do in England. I'm like, example. He's like, well, I say bullshit, but in America you go, that's bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot more
oomph to that. I was like, all right,
there's a middle punch there that exists that doesn't exist in the British. You're right. No, we do swear better. I actually had a proud moment when I had a roommate from Poland, or a friend from Poland, who came over to bang on my flat, ding ding ding, and he bangs it. And he's like, hello, Kyle, this is Miha, or he goes, you know, whoever he answered the door, he didn't know who it was. It was me, but I'm like, hello. And he was like, this is Michael. His name was Michał. That's how you pronounce it in Polish, right? And so he's like, this is Michael. Can you get Kyle, please? Or whatever. And I'm like, Kyle is here with you. And we all know your name is Michał. So just say that. You don't have to say Michael. And he was like, then let me in because it's fucking cold out here. You know, and you're like, I love Polish people. They're fun. I'm like, I taught him how to swear. I taught him how to swear like an American. I was so proud of that one moment. He always called crepes pancakes too. And he was like, do you want to come over and make some pancakes or whatever? He doesn't sound like Borat, but he kind of sounds like Borat. If you've ever heard, that's not really the real accent from where's Borat supposed to be from? Kazakhstan? That's not how Kazakhs sound. That's how Polish people sound. Just saying.
Yeah, he's not an authentic Kazakhstanian, whatever they're called over there.
Not even a little bit.
The evil accents are all Eastern European, right? I mean, they all sound like vampires mixed with Yoda. They just invert the words and they finish everything with a yes.
Everywhere on the East is like that. My favorite comedian, by the way, or at least used to be, now he's like apparently a lady. So you want to talk about tranny weirdness. But my favorite comedian was always Eddie Izzard. And I always loved that he did this great routine about talking about how British priests and also the British royalty were like these people that just have never contacted regular people like vicars and this. They never have like real human interactions. And so he does this thing and he's like, members of the British royal family have never interacted with the real world. They've never done anything for themselves. They don't know anything about what goes on. And so when you go up and they meet real people, it's always really funny. They'll be like, what is it you do? A plumber? You're a plumber? Oh, what on earth is that? I just love the idea. Like, what on earth is a plumber? There's something very real. And they say it with their hands at their side. They don't even gesticulate with their hands because there's some sort of properness. I don't know why we're dogging on them, but like we're talking about Normandy here, and I'm seeing our president. Basically, he might as well hang out with those folks. That's where he's going to be most accepted. Professionally useless, no capabilities, doesn't really know anything, possibly poops in his pants.
That comes from 50 years of being in government service.
I knew you had an answer for that.
You just walk into any room and you do the Mick Jagger, which I've heard this before, that Mick Jagger, because people have been kissing his butt for, oh gosh, gotta be 60 years at this point. And he's going back out on tour again. These boomers will not give it up. And he will walk in a room and just go, Diet Coke. And an aide will present it, because at this point in his life, after 60 years, he just thinks that magic pixie dust appears and the Diet Coke is there.
Yeah, it just materializes. Gross. There's some other
You
people.
need to have a good spouse, not Jill Biden, to keep your head straight. He'll hit you in the back of the head and be like, hey, what do you mean you don't know what a plumber is? Quit being a jackass.
Do you know who also would do the Diet Coke routine? Who I've seen put feet on a chair and tell someone to unlace them for him because he's tired. He's tired. James O'Keefe.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he a journalist?
Only if you put that in air quotes. All right, I actually got a palate cleanser for the day too, because I'm speaking. We've been doing Brits, but let's also make fun of the British Texans, which are Aussies and New Zealanders, right?
That's fair. Yeah, though I mean that's a continent of essentially outlaws.
Yeah, no, I think Australia is, at least it used to be, the Texas of the British Empire, right? They're just people that do things a little bit differently. So I've got some funny.
They have to. They have gigantic spiders and rats that jump around, and they have another animal with good PR, like dolphins, kangaroos. I mean, that would be a good battle.
Kangaroos suck. They're terrible. I don't know why people think they're great, but like they seem like when you first watch the first Crocodile Dundee movie and they're out poaching the kangaroos and they're killing them off and you're like, oh my God, they're killing those majestic bouncing animals. And then the second time you're just like, I hate kangaroos. I've never even seen a kangaroo, but I know that they breed like rats and they bounce around and make a mess and they box things and they punch kids and they do all kinds of weird stuff. Man, kangaroos seem like a menace. Kangaroos are the dolphins of the outback. I'm going to just go on record with that too. Two things you heard it here first if you haven't heard it somewhere else.
You should be interrogated about that next time you go on Chris Deagle's show.
I hope I will be. All right, I got Mad Hat Jerky here, folks. If you guys want a really good high quality snack and support the Kyle Seraphin Show, a couple of you guys have been making orders in the last couple of days out of nowhere. MattHatJerky.com, promo code Kyle, KYLE, or just go to MattHatJerky.com/Kyle. It'll autofill it in if they've got a better deal. I think they've got a better deal for Father's Day right now. There's a box of like 15 different flavors if you're kind of a want to try all the flavors kind of person, or you could just take my recommendation because I'm correct on this one. The two best flavors are roasted garlic and black truffle. They are in the reverse order. Black truffle is the best, hands down. Go ahead and get yourself the USDA Prime version. It's like $1 more a bag. It is totally worth it. It is tender. It is moist. It is a outstanding. Yeah, I used the word moist. I had a challenge when I was in the FBI on how to do that. It is the best. It is the best jerky I've ever had. So I recommend you guys check them out if you want to do that. And yeah, all about this. Stand by. Steve, you ready for one more? You want to do a MyPillow? You want to read my MyPillow?
Promo code KYLE. You can go if you are in the need for bedding, towels. They're like the bath sheets, man. Those things will wrap you up really nice. And they get the job done. Mike Lindell, look, that guy, regardless of where you stand politically, he puts his money where his mouth is. He's got a boss mustache. He's up there with Tom Selleck. And he deserves some support. So if you are in the need for a nice pillow, some sheets or towel, go to mypillow.com, promo code Kyle, support Lindell, support the Kyle Seraphin Show.
That was a really good read. I don't agree with you. He doesn't get up there with Tom Selleck. Come on, bro.
No, I mean, I'm just being complimentary. It isn't.
That was very cool. I think that people should start saying, I think the Lindell folks should start saying, put your money where your mustache is. I think that would be a big hit as far as lineage goes.
Sounds like a Hunter Biden move. You'd probably be snorting cocaine off a $20 bill.
Oh boy. All right. We went down that rabbit hole. All right. Let me give you guys a palate cleanser here. Steve, what do you got coming up on AMRAD? And then we'll palate cleanse while everyone enjoys this.
American Radicals podcast. Join us tomorrow, rumble.com/amradpod. Garrett, me, and George Hill is going to be. We're going to be talking about that Judicial Watch report that came out about the collusion that went on between the FBI and the Democrats on judiciary, as well as a particular staffer who's got some interesting connections. We're going to bring all that to you all. So join us, rumble.com/amradpod, 12 Eastern time.
Okay, this video is the very short setup for folks who hear it. The second guy that makes a loud noise is the guy wearing the yellow shirt, if you're listening to the audio, so I want you to know that. They are obviously New Zealanders or Aussies, but we're going to go and just broadly refer to them as the guy in the yellow shirt, I think represents House Republicans funding the FBI. And that's all I'm going to set it up, and we should all just enjoy this little moment. You guys know what to do when you see these fences. Don't touch them.
This fence over here.
Yep. This one. Fuck. It's electric.
You're not supposed to touch it.
Don't touch it because
it's electrified.
Why did you say that?
I was getting into it and you grabbed the fence. I pointed at the fence.
The fence can't be that bad.
It's electrocuted.
Keeps the cows it's electric. He's just from New Zealand. He's a pussy.
No, well, it keeps the cows in.
You think I'm not tougher than a cow?
Yes.
Cowbunga, baby. Fuck! What the fuck is that? Pikachu's in that fence, bro. Fucking...
That's for bulls, actually. Bull fence, more specifically.
Nah, I think I got a bad current. Let me try again.
Don't try again.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Stop, you gotta go.
Woo! Bro, it's a fucking rush. Try it again, Jimmy. Try it again. Don't
Stop touching it.
It's a fucking rush, eh?
I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not keen.
Woo! A fucking
This guy's
rush.
a fucking retarded.
The House GOP can't help but $11.3 billion in funding. Just keep sending it. It's a rush, though. I'm pretty sure it's a rush. Steve, what do you think?
It's a rush. We should probably actually up it. Send them another billion. Let's make it 12.3 billion.
Let's make it up. Let's make it around 12. Let's just agree to disagree. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Thanks for coming on.
You got it,
today.
man. Have a great weekend.
All right, folks. 5-star review coming your way right now. Here you go. If you want to leave us a 5-star review on Apple, we really appreciate it. 5 stars coming here from Another Day, Another Nickel. I know that feeling. 5 stars, fear porn episode. Listen to this episode on my evening walk. I enjoyed the plethora of topics. Homemaking is cool. I'll take gardening and making sourdough over going to work any day. The vaccine topic was interesting. I agree that I don't believe autism was a thing when I was growing up. And I even had the measles when I was a kid. And lastly, the xylophone ditty at the end had me chuckling and headbanging at the same time. Kudos. Again, another day, another nickel. Thanks. I like this. They gave the rock. All right, folks, that's it for us today. If you joined us in the live chat, thanks for being there, and thanks for chatting it up. You guys can see it on there. If you want to join us on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin, that's where you go do that. And if you're listening anywhere else, make sure you've liked it. Make sure you've given us a little heart if you're watching on X, if you're on YouTube, and so on. And think about joining us over on Rumble. You can download the app. It's very easy. Is it perfect? No, it's not, but it's where we live. It's where the chat happens, and it's where the Kyle Seraphin Show is most at home with free speech, where we don't get censored for our fear porn episodes. Thanks for joining us. I hope you guys have a lovely weekend. I really mean that. I hope you guys go out there and do something fun. I hope you not just touch grass, but I hope you hang out with your children, with your family, with your loved ones, with your friend, raise a beer, have a meal, break some bread, see what America is supposed to be about, live that part of it. We don't have to be on the big team America. We can be on team friendship and community. I think that's where I'm going to sit right now. So I expect to see you guys back here on Monday. God bless you. See you then.
Thanks for listening to the Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram at Kyle Seraphin.